Welcome to day 2 of the Yoga Core Challenge. Today the peak pose is Forearm Balance. Go ahead and find your way to a standing position on your mat in Mountain. Take a deep inhale, exhale breath. With your next inhale, stretch the arms up, and then exhale, forward fold, bend the knees. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up into Mountain. Take a breath, maybe shrug the shoulders. And then inhale, the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. And you'll step back into Plank, Chaturanga, Upward Facing Dog, and then Downward Facing Dog, pushing the hips up and back. Take a couple breaths here. Maybe walk the dog by bending one knee and then the other. And then come down into a tabletop pose. We'll roll through some cat and cows. Inhaling to drop the stomach and lift the chest. Exhaling to arch the back and look back towards your thighs. Keep moving at your own pace and own breath. Inhaling to lift the chest. Exhaling to arch the back. Then walk the hands forward and sink the chest down into puppy pose. Take a few breaths here. You'll roll back into child's pose, big toes together, knees apart. You can wrap your hands around your body. Maybe come up into rabbit by placing the top of the head onto the ground. And then inhale up slowly onto the tops of your knees. Brace your lower back. And push the hips forward, lifting the chest for modified camel. Then bend forward, bringing the crown of the head back to the ground, reaching back for your ankles and lifting the hips. Come back up and find your way into a plank briefly before pushing back into down dog. And then you're going to hop or step to the front of the mat and forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale all the way up, back into Mountain. Exhale. Inhale, bring the arms up, big stretch. Exhale, forward fold. Pause and forward fold. Walk the hands to one side, back to center, and then the other. Come back to center. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, all the way up to Mountain. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, reach all the way up, get a stretch. Exhale, forward fold. And then you'll hop back into a plank. This time you can do chest taps, tapping the chest with one hand and then the other, going back and forth. Warming up the core. And then you'll chaturanga. Inhale to upward facing dog, exhaling it back to downward facing. Take a breath here. Then briefly bend the knees in down dog before pushing it forward into plank. Optional push-up before pushing it back into downward facing dog. You'll keep repeating this movement, bending the knees, and then pushing forward into plank before bringing it back into down dog. Try to do a couple more. Be sure to breathe and find your way back into down dog. Take a breath here. Come forward into plank before lowering all the way down, finding your way into Sphinx, keeping the elbows close to the body, and then push it back to child's briefly before coming into Forearm Plank. Hold Forearm Plank. Continue breathing. Then you'll dip the hips to one side and then the other, rocking back and forth. You can go at your own pace, your own speed. Focusing on the exhale as you drop the hip to each side. Couple more. And then lower the hips back down to the ground, coming back into Sphinx before pushing it back briefly into Child's Pose. Take a breath down the spine. Then bring it back forward and push it into Down Dog, hopping forward into Forward Fold before finding your way back into Mountain, moving quickly. Inhale, reach up, get a stretch. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold and lift back up into Mountain for another stretch flowing through this. Then plant the hands, Chaturanga, Upward Facing Dog, and then back into Downward Facing Dog. And quickly come forward into Plank, lower into an Up Dog before pushing it back into a Child's briefly. And come back forward, returning to that Forearm Plank. Pausing here. And then you'll repeat the hip dips, again focusing on the exhale. If you would rather stay still in Forearm Plank, you can do that. We're coming into Sphinx to rest. Go ahead and come into Sphinx, take a breath, and then push it back briefly into Child's. Hinge back forward into Plank, pushing it back into Down Dog briefly before coming into a fold, halfway lift. Exhale, lower, inhale, come up, take a breath. Inhale, arms come up, get a stretch. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, back up to Mountain. Take another breath. Inhale, arms back up. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands, step it into Plank. Lower down, Chaturanga. Inhale, Upward Facing. Exhale, back, Downward Facing Dog. And breathe. And hinge forward into Plank before coming down onto the forearms and walking the feet in close to the body, finding your way into Dolphin. You'll hold Dolphin for a moment, focusing on the posture, lifting up through the hips, tightening the core. And then we'll do some Dolphin Push-Ups by bringing yourself forward, nose over the thumbs, and then pushing back. You'll repeat those steps at your own pace, hinging the body forward and back. Keep breathing. And come to stillness, drop to your knees and roll back into Child's before coming back up and pushing into Down Dog, which will then come into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, up. Take a breath. Check in with the shoulders and the neck. Make sure there's no strain there. Inhale, take the arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, all the way back up. Take a breath. And then take the arms up again before planting them all the way down on the ground and going through your flow again. Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing, and exhaling it back, downward facing. Be sure to breathe. Then hinge back forward into Plank, coming into a sidearm plank, right side. Option to come into a tree before rolling over to the other side, forearm plank, left side plank. Same options here. And then come into forearm plank and walk the feet in once again, finding your way into Dolphin, and either remaining here or doing the Dolphin Push-Ups once again. Keep breathing. And drop it back into Child's Pose. Take a breath. And slowly come back up for modified camel, bracing the lower back and doing the back bends. Come forward into Rabbit, crown of the head back on the ground. Maybe roll the shoulders before finding your way in to Forearm Balance. For Forearm Balance, your forearms come to the ground and wrap around your head. Be sure not to interlace your fingers. Walk the feet in as close to the body as you can. And if you are not able to get up into a Forearm Balance, just practice carefully, bringing one leg up and then the other. Just working on the core and overcoming the fear. And come back down. carefully find your way into child's. You can wrap the arms around you or leave them extended, whatever feels good. Then inhale yourself up, take a breath in seated before finding your way into downward facing dog, which will then come forward into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, up. Take a breath as you bring the arms to heart center and sink down to your heels for toe stand. Pause here. Then roll back into boat. Be careful with boat. If it doesn't feel good on your back, try to modify it. Pausing here. Inhale to extend, coming all the way down to the ground for a full body stretch. Then relax into the ground. Slowly start to bend your knees up towards your chest. Hug them in tightly. Maybe rocking side to side. And come into waterfall. Feet straight up into the air. Bend the knees and drop the feet down, coming into bridge. And bridge, the hips lift and shoulder blades come together to push the chest up. Maybe take a bind underneath to push up even higher by grabbing your hands, pulling the shoulder blades together even tighter. And then lower down, bring the knees back in towards the chest. Take the arms out to a T. Do a spinal twist by taking the knees over to one side and looking over the opposite shoulder. Keep breathing. Then bring the knees back to center. Let the spine adjust before taking the knees to the opposite direction and looking over the other shoulder. Bring the knees back in to center. And you'll cross the right ankle over the left knee for supine pigeon. Getting a little stretch, then switch it out. Left ankle over right knee. Then you'll roll up into a boat briefly, pausing here. Then come into a supine table or a supine plank. Supine plank, you'll bring the feet out. Make sure your fingers are pointed towards your feet as you lift the body up. Then bring yourself back down. You reach your arms out in front of you and slowly lower the body all the way down to the mat. Get one more full body stretch before relaxing in and finding your way to Shavasana. Thank you for joining me for today's core challenge. Come back tomorrow for day 3 of the core challenge. Tomorrow's peak pose is boat with legs extended. See you then. Namaste.